We're answering another client question today. Not literally, I already answered the client, but they asked me this and I thought, hey, that's a good YouTube topic. I've heard it 2 or 3 times before from other clients. Time to record a video. Where do you pay for a large expense? You got something big coming up. Do you use equity in a house? Do you use part of your investment portfolio? I'll break it down for you here in a minute. Hi, I'm Antonio Cibella. Welcome to the latest video. Today we're talking about large expenses. You're going to remodel the house. You're going to redo the kitchen, get the dream kitchen. You're going to put an addition on in the back, something along those lines. You need a large amount of money. And the question is, where's a better place to draw it from? The equity in your house or your investment portfolio? Now, a couple of assumptions we're going to make for the video today. Home values have gone up quite a bit over the last few years. A lot of people sitting on equity. They've got low first mortgages. We're not talking about touching that. We're talking about taking out a new second mortgage versus non-qualified investment money. Do not take money from a retirement account to put an addition on your house. You got to pay taxes. It's a whole mess. We're talking about non-qualified investment money, just money that's sitting in an investment portfolio, not subject to all of the rules of retirement. Where's the better place to take it? I'll tell you, here we go. So a couple of considerations to make when it comes to this. First off, what are the terms of the loan? Are you borrowing on a variable rate? Is it a fixed rate? That's something you need to consider. The second thing, and keep this in mind as I go throughout the video, is the concept of simple interest versus compound interest. When you get a home equity loan, you're paying simple interest. What that means is you're never paying interest on interest. You borrow money, let's say you borrow $100,000 and your interest rate is 5%. So you're paying $5,000 a year in interest essentially. What happens is you borrow the $100,000, it breaks down to a certain amount of interest each day, so the balance goes up over the course of the month. When you make a payment, it wipes out all of that interest. The remainder goes to the principal balance. Now next month you pay a little bit less interest because you don't owe $100,000 anymore. You owe just a tiny bit less. And over the term, the loan will amortize itself. It'll pay itself off. The key concept there is that the interest that you pay is never going to be paying interest on interest. It's only paying interest on your remaining principal balance. So the amount of interest that you pay over time goes down in a simple interest loan. When you invest money, you're earning compound returns. So once you make a return, the next year you're earning not off your original, in this case $100,000, you're earning off of $100,000 plus whatever it earned in year 1 or year 2 or year 3. So it's like a snowball rolling downhill. That's what compound interest is. When you start making gains from gains, not just gains from the original principal. So keep that in mind as we talk, because that's really what's going to determine how the math comes out in the end. So we talked about rate. Make sure you're going to go the fixed rate route at this point with rising interest rates. Sometimes there are home equity lines of credit where you have a variable rate. They can be good in a time when interest rates are low or flat if the rate is much lower than a fixed rate. For the purposes of our example, we're going to consider a fixed rate. Second, you want to consider the concept of compound interest versus simple interest, because that plays a big deal here. And then third, you need to look at your cash flow. If you borrow that money, you need to be able to make the monthly payment. And so if you take it from the portfolio, you don't have a payment to make, but it's going to cost you more in the long run. I'll show you here in a second. But if you do borrow the money from the house, because you say, well, I don't want to cost myself in the long run. I want my money to grow, so I'm not going to touch the portfolio. I'll take a home equity loan. The trick is cash flow's got to be positive so that you can make that new loan payment every month. How the math turns out, it makes sense to take the home equity. When we look at this example, I'll explain to you why, but for the reasons I just discussed, it makes sense to tap into the equity instead of selling an asset that has future growth potential. In my example, $75,000. You were borrowing $75,000. Gonna get the kitchen of your dreams, do some work in the backyard, what have you. Right now, as I record this video in early 2023, $75,000 for 20 years. I saw 6% for a fixed home equity loan from a local bank when I looked up this information. So if you do that, $75,000 borrowed, 6% interest, 20-year loan, you've got a monthly loan payment of $537 per month. $537 per month. Had to check the math there. Likewise, if you took the same $75,000 and had it invested, right, it was just in the portfolio, and you earned the same 6% from it, what does it turn into over 20 years? That's the math of it. So when we look at how it breaks down, $537 per month for 20 years or 240 payments, comes out to $128,938 that you'll repay back. So you borrowed $75, you ended up paying $128. That means that you paid $53,000 in interest. That's your actual cost for borrowing that money. It was money that you borrowed, you repaid what you borrowed, but you paid $53,000 to do it over the course of 20 years. Sounds like a lot of money if you had the same $75,000 invested at 6% for the same 20 years. You didn't add to it, you didn't touch it. Now we know, historically speaking, you could do better than 6% over periods of time, especially 20-year windows with an investment portfolio. That's never guaranteed. No guarantees with investments, but for the purposes of our math, we looked at 6%, same interest rate, but let's get some compounding on that. Leave it alone for 20 years, it turns into $248,265. $248,265. So you've gained $173,000 of gain over that time, as opposed to paying $53,000 in interest. There's the math for you. I mean, it just makes more sense if you can afford the payment. If you're not going to get into a variable situation that can throw those numbers off, you know what it is that you're going to pay and you know the term at which you're going to pay it. Use the home equity right now. Home equity, the return on equity is zero, as I always say. It's a function of what happens in the real estate market, whether you have equity in your house or not. Your home goes up or down based on the real estate market. If you have untapped equity and you can afford the cash flow and you have a large expense coming up, take advantage of that. Leave your money to grow for the future. The math works out. You'll be better off for it in the long run. I hope you learned something today. I know we're a little bit math heavy, and I ping-ponged around a little bit in there, but I hope you get the concept. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you soon.